I would say that I've learned a lot through these 12 months of experiencing COVID-19. For example, I learned that there's power in groups, but when it comes to something like COVID-19, the best thing to do is not to be in a group. I've also learned better money saving tactics because things have gotten expensive over the year, and also, even the educational sector has also been influenced a lot. For example, I was grade 12 last year, and it really took an impact on me because we had less time to do the whole curriculum.
Well, basically mostly hygiene-wise, washing hands more, sanitizing more, and keeping clean more. I guess that's the positive part. And plus, to appreciate people around you more, because a lot of people have been dying though. So, and plus, what else? I think that's all. And the whole social distancing, and somehow I feel like it's bad because now they're keeping us away from our people. But yeah, kind of learn a lot though. So it's the bad and the good parts.
It has been tough as usual, It has been tough because economies has been going down and people have lost jobs. We have to start from the scratch again, and it's tough. It's not an easy task, but we have to live with it, But it has been tough. It has been tough. Nothing easy, especially this time, the moment. Yeah, a tough time.
From that COVID-19, this is now the whole year. What I learned is something very, very important. Is to save money, from how to use it money, how can I use it to spare money, is it necessary things. And the other things, because I have been here now, it's almost a year, but without work. But according to my knowledge, really, this COVID-19, they learn is how to use money. Because
I actually learned a lot of things. It's like we are living, it's like we are separated from our loved ones. You're not allowed to walk around anymore. And most of all, COVID is all about keeping up with hygiene. You wash your hands, you sanitize, to protect yourself from the virus and all that. And yeah.
What I mostly learned is how to save, how to spend money wisely, and that the economy is basically it's messed up. So when it comes to money-wise, you have to be smart, how to spend it and to live under rules. It's tough for us. Because now you have curfews and all that stuff that we have daily. So it's basically we are in a cage. It's like apartheid all over again. Yeah.
Definitely one thing COVID has taught me was, as much as you have family, you can be closed off from them anytime, any day. All right. So kind of taught me to get my backbone a little bit strengthened. That is for myself, because, when the whole lockdown began, I was like, I miss my family. It was 3 months that I couldn't see my mom. I was terrified, guys, but made it through that difficult time, and it really taught me that standing strong on my own, that's for sure. And also to really, really appreciate your job, guys. Really appreciate your job, even though you're getting paid 500 Namibian dollars. I think we all made peace with it, that that $500 is so much better than getting nothing. All right. So appreciate your job, and also stand firm within yourself. And I think a lot of people and all of us basically agreed on the money situation, guys. Save money. Do not use it for unnecessary things, because, COVID-19 has taught us that things can spiral from a 0 to 100 real quick. Real quick.
When you're talking about this, when I first heard of COVID-19, I was hoping for that whole period, I was like, yay, finally some holiday.
Finally some holiday.
Because there was a period where you were not allowed to work or whatever. The restrictions were real. You couldn't go to school. You couldn't travel. That period. I was like, damn, I got like a whole month of doing nothing. Damn.
Of doing nothing, and look at time moving by.
And that's a whole year.
And now it's a whole year. So Let's check if we can get our researcher that is on this situationship. And if you guys have your questions in chat, also come through. That is on the number 085 300 7799. Good morning, Mr. Christie.
How are you?
Great. It's Sharon from OF.M.
Yes, Sharon. How's it?
We are great. So we just played our podcast, and quite a few concerns has come through. I'm already stressing about the fact that maybe the rule of having to travel and not being vaccinated might come in place. Do you think it will? That if you have to travel, maybe you have to get vaccinated?
Well, I think there are indications at the moment. First of all, let's look at what happens in the world. There are more lockdowns coming. I think we're one of a few countries in the world actually that's completely open. So with the third wave coming in Europe, countries like Italy are experiencing lockdowns again. So that will of course override all efforts to be able to travel freely. I think the issue in the post-COVID world is how are we going to allow people to travel and cross international borders if we have this discrepancy in, say, vaccination rates, for example. Are we going to allow people to come from vaccinated areas into areas that might not have high vaccination rates? And I think the key issue is they are looking at the variants. As long as people are vaccinated for this wild version, the original version of the vaccine, of the virus, the vaccine will work. But they're worried that the new variants that are now developing might render that vaccination less effective or even ineffective. And in which case, then they will try and constrain the way people move from one part of the world where the vaccines are effective to other parts where they might be less certain that they're effective.
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
But I honestly think that this digital health passport is certainly something that is going to be implemented going forward.
All right, that is definitely clear.
And there's also another one which says, is the comprehensive vaccine buffer solution the only way to fight this fled repeatedly?
I think so. I think the concerns at the moment is that there is a number of varieties of this virus that's developing. For example, in the US, this aggressive new British strain, I think accounts for something like 25% of the new infections. There's the South African strain. There's various of these other strains. And that means that if we can't vaccinate people quickly enough, the more vaccinated people comes into contact with these with the virus, the more the possibilities for new strains to develop. And as I said, then the problem becomes that the vaccines may be less or even ineffective. So the quicker we can vaccinate people, the more we can prevent new variants from developing, and the more effective it will be.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Now that's definitely a great answer. And talking about that, we are going to celebrate our independence within a few days. And usually we have big events and such. What advice would you give for this independence that is upcoming?
Yeah, that's a problem. I think big events are out. And I think the government's been very strict on us avoiding big events. I think we can see from last year with the holiday period, December and January, when people were moving around, congregating, and perhaps in more than they would have done otherwise. And of course, also then we started testing more people because more people wanted to cross borders. I think that shows that once we have these big events, once people start moving around, congregating and so on, we usually have an increase in the number of infections. So I think it's going to be a subdued independence celebration.
Talking about that, there's a saying that says, don't ask what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. In this state, what is it that the average Namibian can do, except the washing of hands, skipping the 1 meter, except the basics? What is that one thing or two that the average Namibian can do to combat this virus?
Well, I think the key issue, of course, these measures that you described, they are our first line of defense against the virus until such time as we can vaccinate people. So this is really what we've got, and that's really what we have to fight with. So look after your own health, and you'll be looking after the health of others.
Last but not least, I also have one last question, which is, since the economic impact is quite hefty on the poorer people and everybody in general, what advice can you give to these people that are hungry now or are starting to see the effects of this virus in their homes?
Well, I mean, I really wish I knew the answer on what people can do, but I think in cases where people are really struggling, I think hanging on to jobs, if you have a job, not change jobs, even if it comes with a reduced wage, it's better to have a job than not have a job. I think for people who don't have jobs at the moment, people will really have to start looking for income, creating possibilities. Have a look around and see what's going on in your community. Maybe there are people in the informal sector already that can help you acquire a skill or two to generate a little bit of income at least. But it's really tough. It's really tough also because we don't have very extensive social networks that can help people capture or that can touch people. I think your social networks, your family and so on are important in helping others to survive. And if you have a little bit more than what you need, maybe you should share those with others that don't have enough.
Yeah, definitely. The way to go to combating that is this virus. Also, Mr. Christie, quickly tell us, how fast is this South African variant actually spreading in the country?
I wish I knew. The reality is we know it's here, but I don't think we're testing for variants. We're definitely not reporting on the development of the variants, but we know that it is a fairly aggressive variant that spreads quite quickly. I think it also depends on how long it's been around. Maybe it's been around for much longer than we think. I think especially, as of late November, December, people were crossing borders regularly, sort of, or on a larger scale between Namibia and South Africa. And prior to that, people, truck drivers, long haulers, and those people are always crossing borders. So it's a possibility that's been around for longer, that we're only now looking for it, and that's why we're finding it.
All right. You definitely made that one clear, but thank you so much for coming through and clearing a few questions that we had, that is from the public as well.
My pleasure.
All right. Have yourself a great day, Mr. Christie.
Yeah. Thank you. You too.
All right.
Keep well.
Bye. So yes, so that is Mr. Christie coming through and just telling you exactly what it is and what your exact knowledge should be, guys. So if ever you want your information, please check it. That is on World Health Organization, and also the CDC kind of gives you all the information about COVID-19, and stop spreading misinformation that is on social medias. This kind of put doubts into people and might not allow the necessary people to get their vaccines as well. All right. So that is a wrap for our podcast for today. Time check exactly 7 minutes past 8. This is Musketeers Azaria with Tando.